When students return to school this fall in Southern Virginia, their classroom will be closed. Inside Your World Investigates found caution tape littering the ground where crews have torn up a caving floor, pulled out an aging HVAC unit, and discovered a leak in the roof of this 1930s-era building.
We do have some need for some additions. We definitely have a need for some renovations and for some modernization of our buildings, and we don't have a funding stream to do any of those things.
Superintendent Mark Bergen's district is home to the nation's oldest public school building in use today. Entering New London Academy, built in 1795, is like stepping into a time capsule. It still has slate chalkboards. And it's not alone. Aging schools, we discovered, are a nationwide challenge. The American Society of Civil Engineers gave the country's school infrastructure a grade of D+, and it reported that 4 in 10 public schools have no long-term plan to maintain their facilities.
You know, in Baltimore, there was no heat. There was a case in Michigan, the roof fell in.
Mary Filardo, executive director of the nonprofit 21st Century School Fund, is pushing Congress to create a federal program to modernize thousands of school buildings she hopes will protect the health of millions of kids.
We're talking about buildings built in the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s. Most of our schools have these, what we call legacy toxics.
Legacy toxics, which can include asbestos, a known carcinogen in the ceilings, and dangerous lead in water pipes and drinking fountains. As schools work to contain these toxic materials, the global pandemic has presented a new challenge: airflow. According to the Civil Engineers National Report Card, 41% of schools reported issues with their HVAC systems.
We've already established we have HVAC systems that needed to be replaced before the pandemic, and the pandemic just heightened the need for improving those systems.
His Virginia district was able to evaluate and replace HVAC systems thanks to federal funding from the Coronavirus Economic Rescue Package known as the CARES Act. But there's not enough money to go around. The American Society of Civil Engineers says there's a $38 billion nationwide shortfall for public schools. Many school officials are hopeful a $1 trillion infrastructure funding bill expected soon out of Washington will include those needed dollars for school repairs.
I'm hopeful that the current conversation in Washington, D.C. with an infrastructure package from the Congress is going to translate to real dollars to help all schools, and particularly rural schools, to improve upon their infrastructure for the next generation.
For now, many young promising students will be returning to class in aging schools in desperate need of attention. For Inside Your World Investigates, I'm Mark Hyman.